who is going to be number 3. Chris Paul and Keldon Johnson have worn 3 their entire career, and it's finally revealed who will be wearing that for this upcoming season. And Guerschon Yabusele is now a Philadephia 76er. What does this mean for the San Antonio Spurs, and did they miss out on a huge opportunity to get someone on the bench? We break that down here on Spurs DIgest with Keenan Warner. And before we break all of this down, make sure you take a spur of the moment to get every Spurs moment and hit that subscribe button. So, it's been revealed, and breaking Spurs jersey news. There it is. Keldon Johnson will keep and wear number 3 next season. One of those things where you're like, okay, Chris Paul is a legend, future Hall of Famer, one of the best point guards of a generation, and apparently Keldon Johnson's favorite player growing up. Growing up, he said, I was the 3rd child, and when I was growing up, Chris Paul was my favorite player. I watched a lot of his highlights when I was younger. So, this is one of those situations where you're almost a little shocked that he didn't give the number to Chris Paul, knowing that Chris Paul was his idol, but at the same time, he's been wearing that too, and it's more than just Chris Paul that made him want to be number 3. So, fair enough for that. That's fine. Keldon Johnson, you can keep 3. As for Chris Paul, what number will Chris Paul be? Chris Paul has worn 3 for his entire career, but he did wear number 13 when he suited up for Olympic basketball. I'm thinking 13 will be the number that he could go with. 1, it still incorporates 3. 2, it's a number he has worn before. I don't exactly know what we're going to be getting out of Chris Paul number-wise when it comes to his jersey, but Chris Paul number-wise when it comes to his basketball, we're going to be getting a guy who can participate high level on the offensive end and defensively. Hopefully he can give you that in spurts. He has been an all-defensive player in the past. He was probably the best defensive point guard in the entire league for a long stretch of time. And Chris Paul, if you can just have him shoot threes at a high level and orchestrate an offense, he was talking about learning from these young guys and being able to be in a situation to where he is happy playing basketball at this high level, playing basketball with Keldon Johnson, with Victor Wembanyama. He said he had learned from Devin Booker, learned from Shea, even though he played with Shea only in his 2nd season. So we'll see what Chris Paul can do for the San Antonio Spurs this coming season. Hopefully he can take Keldon Johnson's game to the next level, help him as a passer, help him understand the confines of the game, because Chris Paul is a floor general extraordinaire and the smartest, if not 2-3 smartest players in all of basketball there with LeBron James, Draymond Green, and others. But Keldon Johnson last year on 16 points, 3 assists, about 5.5 rebounds a game. He shot close to 35% from 3. That could be something that could help push him this season. He's been in trade rumor talks, obviously, for Lauri Markkanen, Brandon Ingram, but Keldon Johnson is very excited and ready to get going this year, and he gets to play amongst and alongside his childhood idol of Chris Paul. Keldon Johnson, kudos to you for keeping number 3. I completely understand, and I'm excited to see this Chris Paul reveal of what number he is going to get. On another front, Guerschon Yabusele has made his decision. Reported by Woj that Guerschon Yabusele has agreed on a 1-year, $2.1 million deal with the Philadephia 76ers. Yabusele is joining the Eastern Conference again because he played for Boston for a couple years. And in that stint with Boston, he was okay. 74 career games, 2.3 points a game. He wasn't in the same kind of shape that he's in now, but the Dancing Bear isn't an old player at all by any means. He is only 28 years of age, and what we clearly saw and what people are really hyped about is the fact that during his Olympic run, 14 points, 3 rebounds. During that run, he had 22 against Canada with 5 rebounds, 2 3-pointers. And the thing with him too, he did make the all Olympic second team there with Shea, with Franz, with Giannis, and with Bojan Bogdanovic. So he showed out and why he could definitely be a player in the league, and the Spurs had talks around him. Wemby, his teammate on France, and as unfortunate as it is that I liked the Guerschon Yabusele fit for the Spurs more for a Wemby perspective than I did a team perspective. From a team perspective, it was something that was not unnecessary, but it just wasn't needed. They've got Julian Champagny, they got Jeremy Sochan, they got Keldon Johnson, they've got Victor Wembanyama, they've got Zach Collins, so you would have to move off of one of them for him to even get adequate playing time that's more than 6 or 8 minutes here and there. But I liked it for the fact that you have another Frenchman alongside Victor Wembanyama, someone he is culturally the same as, grown up with, obviously has played with him on the Olympic team, will play on him with the next Olympic team that's going on here in 2028 in LA. So that was the aspect of it that I did like for the Spurs, but basketball-wise, they don't need it. They have 8-9 guys already that are going to be in a rotation that look good and that we're happy about. So it would be adding something that was unnecessary, and I feel like with the buzz that he had gotten during the Olympics, if the Spurs went on any kind of down spell, he's someone not that himself would cause a problem, but in the media, people would be like, well, why aren't we playing Guerschon Yabusele? Why is he not in the game? And he could almost become a very minute distraction because obviously with him being anywhere from the 8th to 12th best player on a roster, he shouldn't make that many headlines. But it could just be a small distraction that could take away from the overall trajectory of the roster. I did like it for Wemby. I didn't love the fit on the team because he is a little undersized. He plays defense well, but he's not the most phenomenal defender. He's more of an offensive player, and he would have crowded the space of the floor. He can stretch out and hit threes, but it's not something the defense is going to be willing to give up a Yabusele three. It's not like he is a sharp shooter. So the fit for him in Philadelphia, especially with Embiid's health being up and down, it makes way more sense there. So hopefully he does well. But for the San Antonio Spurs, there is nothing to be concerned about. We got Chris Paul, we got Keldon Johnson, Harrison Barnes, who I didn't even mention within the bigger forwards on the roster. They've got too much talent there in the front half and on the back half. They have a lot of guard depth. They're going to be perfectly fine competing for playoff spots, competing to be a top 6 seed, so they don't even have to see the play-in. They'll be competing for the playoffs this upcoming season. But let me know your guys' thoughts if Guerschon Yabusele was a miss for the San Antonio Spurs. What do you think about Keldon Johnson keeping the number 3 and not letting Chris Paul wear the number 3? And what number do you think Chris Paul will wear? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Again, this was Spurs Digest with Keenan Warner. I appreciate all of you guys, and I will see you guys soon.